ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, baby, higher.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the world. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is that time of the day, morning, week, NCAA Insiders. 3 men in a box. Quentin Mills on assignment today. God bless you, Quentin. As we talk Freeman and the Irish heading to the championship game, and you know what? I think I had a little something to do with this. The addition of Nick Hathcote to create 3 men in a box to 4 men in a box, I think kept that winning streak going since the UNI lost in week 2. So, Nick, the Irish eyes are smiling on both of us. So, good. Congratulations to you and the Irish, as they'll be playing on the 20th versus who? Texas, Ohio State. I know the whole world's on Ohio State. Why even play the game? Might as well just set up the national championship game, which Ohio State is -7.5 against Notre Dame. But we got a game before that. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's Viva Tequila Seltzer. Go head on over to where you enjoy adult beverages. Try the new flavor lemon, or the East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. Travis, Zach, myself will take good care of you in 2025. I promise you that. And of course, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Jump on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith. While you're there, head on over to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Use the promo code STEAKS10. STEAKS10. Get 10% off your whole order. I promise you, you'll enjoy it. Without further ado, let's see if we can do this. Mr. Matt Grissom and Mr. Nick Hathcote. What's up, gents?
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Morning, Jeff.
You know, I'm sitting there, and truth be told, I thought I found the diamond in the rough in the over last night. The true number was 50 in the hook, and then it was 50, and then it went all the way down to 45 and a half. I did have a slight lean to Penn State, 10-3 at half. And I'm going to use this word, Nick, and I'm going to start with you, obviously. I thought Penn State was dominating, meaning they were just running the ball. They were doing whatever they wanted to. Mr. Carter's going to look great in New England. Oh, my God, Micah Parsons by 2. But at halftime, it's called adjustments. And we talk about Freeman. We talk about Franklin. And it was a different Notre Dame team. Touchdown. And then we obviously had a ball game. Great fourth quarter. Franklin's follies continue. You are what you reckon are. And I go to the quarterback. I go to the OC. I go to Franklin. Worst case scenario, we're going to overtime. We're going to a coin flip, and we'll settle it there. Nick, congratulations. Thoughts on what you saw last night?
Yeah, you're right. I was very concerned in that first half. And it was mostly because Penn State was dominating on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Whether they were on offense or defense, they were kind of pushing Notre Dame around a little bit. But it played out in the second half how I kind of had the whole game scripted, where Notre Dame was going to put their corners on an island and say, hey, we don't care about your receivers. And look, they had 0 catches. Penn State wide receivers had 0 catches on the day. Like we knew that Tyler Warren was going to get his. Like they were doubling him and he was still going to get his yards, which he did. Like that guy's, I mean, unguardable. Like it's one of those things. So you just have to, and then Drew Aller made a mistake. He's been mistake prone last year. This year he's been great. I think he had 4 interceptions coming into this one. But what I have to say the most is Notre Dame was just resilient. Like you had Leonard get hurt in the first half, leave it right before the half. Steve Angeli had to come drive him down. I think that was a massive field goal just for confidence, just to not be shut out in the first half, get some points on the board. Then you already have your backup left tackle in. He gets hurt, so then you're on your 3rd string left tackle. Right guard goes out of the game. You're down both defensive tackles. You're down a starting corner, and it was like you still found out a way to win. And then Jeremiah Love, that run, whereas like he's on one leg and is going against 5 Penn State defenders on his own, kind of just put the nail in the coffin. That just showed me like everything, and that was just heart from Notre Dame, I thought.
Matt, you're sitting there. The number was so fun to watch. It was going back and forth, and to a pick 'em, to Penn State -1, back to a pick 'em, Notre Dame -1. You could have shopped around and you could have had a blast there. Matt, pre-flop, kickoff, before the kickoff, and what you saw.
I initially liked Penn State plus the 3. The line moved around, and that was one where I think actually in some spots Penn State was favored right before kickoff. But this was a playoff game. Like for once, it felt like, okay, you have good coaching, you have good defense, you have offense that can move the ball, you have adjustments, and we have a tight game. And Drew Aller, for as conservative as he played through 55 minutes of that game, he took the one chance. I mean, I'm looking here, rushing. I knew that Penn State was dominating, running the ball. I didn't realize that Katron Allen and Nick Singleton had 15 and 19 carries, 84, 82 yards. Singleton got all the touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, but they were averaging 5 yards on the ground. I don't know why Aller has to throw that ball. It was a hell of a pick by the Notre Dame corner or safety. Hats off to Notre Dame. They got it done. But overall, I mean, I think Nick hit the nail on the head. It was a great game, and Notre Dame made the adjustments when they needed to, and the defense stepped up.
And it's a great story. Hats off to Mr. Freeman. Hats off to Notre Dame. We've talked since the second week in September. You were fighting for your life, your playoff life after that loss. You take down 2 undefeated naval academies, Army and Navy. Last game of the year, into a shootout at USC. Got to host the upstart Indiana Hoosiers. Nothing was easy here, yet just keep rolling. And you've been talking about Jeremiah Love. You've been talking about the quarterback. The defense has been stellar. The funny thing about Notre Dame in the past is, put them in front of an SEC team, put them in front of a big team, they're gonna melt. Is it the coach and the culture here that has turned this rate around, Nick?
It has to be. I mean, that's kind of the difference. His recruiting style is different than what it's been in the past. Like it used to be, let's go to California, let's go to Florida, let's try to get all these athletes. Same thing he's doing at LSU right now. Like he's recruiting well, that's not a problem. Marcus Freeman's doing it differently. He's building it like an SEC team where it is absolutely trenches first, and let's get stud running backs. Like look who they've just had, like Kyron Williams dominating in the NFL. They just that was a Marcus Freeman recruit. So, and then Jeremiah Love is he's going to be the first running back taken in the draft next year. So yeah, they beat number one team in the SEC in just last 3 weeks, number 1 team in the SEC, number 3 and number 4 teams in the Big Ten. I think it kind of shut up. Well, not all doubters. There's still people that are there's so many haters out there on X this morning that are oh, well, backup quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But no, it has to be. Like, it has to be a culture thing. It has to be the coach thing, because that's the main difference over the past few years.
Matt, I'm sitting here, and when we were talking in August, what could be the final 12, the final four. Did you have on your bingo card at any point? I had Penn State in the final 12, as Paul Stone, as Ron talked about Marmolevsky yesterday. That's exactly what a Penn State team needed, was 12 teams. They're always losing to an Ohio State and a Michigan, but they're good enough to get into a final 12. Thoughts preseason pre-flop on Notre Dame? I mean, we know they were opening up at A&M. That was a coin flip. I think A&M closed minus a couple of points. That was a great game there. But pre-flop, did you have them in the final 12, Matt?
I did. I thought that Notre Dame would take care of business in that opening game. I liked them against Texas A&M. The defense and Riley Leonard. I was a big Riley Leonard fan when he was at Duke. I thought the versatility that he was going to give the Irish team was going to take them far. And I'll say it tongue in cheek when I say this, but because they don't play in a conference and they get to schedule several teams that are not good, they're kind of always right there in that same boat of Penn State, though. 10-2, 11-1, and you're in. Then we saw how bad Florida State was going to be, so you started marking that down on the schedule as a win. So even with the Northern Illinois loss, you take care of business the rest of the way. You go 11-1, you're in. So, yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame, Penn State. I'm trying to think of an SEC equivalent that would be in there, but I guess Tennessee by virtue of making it this year. But they're always going to be in that 9-3, 10-2, maybe have a great season, go 11-1, that conversation. But can they hang with the big boys? And that's going to be a question after we get through this preview with Ohio State, Texas. I hope that Notre Dame can. I hope for Nick's sake he can. But I am curious to see how they stack up against a good defense in Texas or a flashy offense in Ohio State, whichever it may be.
I think I would equate the Penn State and the Notre Dame. I'll throw a team in there that was one win away. Would have been like an Ole Miss. I think that's a perfect spot for 12 teams. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, as long as he keeps staying there, that allows them to maybe sneak in the back door. They had it obviously there, and that they lost there. Final question on this game, Nick. Take us back to the UNI loss, the Northern Illinois 28.5-point favorites. Honestly, 1-1 after that. Did you think you'd be sitting here right now?
No. Not like that. I mean, that was, looking back at that, that has to be the weirdest result of any game in any season I can remember. Like, looking like they would be, if they lined up with NIU today, they'd probably beat them by 50. Like, that was just such a weird result for an NIU team that didn't even end up being good in the MAC. Like, that was such a strange result. But like I think Marcus Freeman said, like, looking back, you wouldn't change it, because that absolutely turned the tide for their season. Jeff, you've mentioned it, I think, every week, where they've been in a playoff like ever since that game. They couldn't afford to lose again. Matt said it. They're not in a conference. They're not going to get these kind of easy routes. Like, ESPN wants the Big Ten teams in. They want the SEC teams in. Like, Notre Dame, people are going to put on the list because they make money, but they still don't have that backing like that. So it's like, you have, like, if they lose more than one game, you're out. So I think it helped. Such a weird result. Like, I don't even know what to say about it, because honestly, it was just strange looking at it now. But yeah, it could have been what this team needed, just kicking the butt. And they've been, honestly, one of the best, probably 2 or 3 teams in the country ever since then.
Shout out to Mr. Smooth, of course. Happy Friday.
No, we're not giving Sean any credibility here. He's going to play golf with 2 other buddies of ours. So just had to rub that in.
And Sean, he's got 10 inches of snow in his backyard. He showed us before the start. So he's going to go after the show and make snow angels. So that ought to be interesting. So, all right, let's get to the game tonight. Ohio State and Texas. The true number was 4.5. Everyone remembers what they saw last with Ohio State, obviously did to Oregon, ripped the heart out of them right in the first quarter. Texas, double overtime win against Arizona State. That line shoots all the way up to 6.5. Did drop to 5.5. Now currently at the circa, a 6 minus 5 cents means the next move probably back to 5.5 with a 53. I talked to you guys backstage. I do have a Texas Notre Dame exacta. I think the whole world's on Ohio State. I think Texas is getting disrespected here. If Ohio State plays like they did against Tennessee and they played like they did against Oregon, well then, yeah, Ohio State's going to win the game. I'm not that dumb. But these are kids. This is now a couple weeks in a row. I'll start with you, Matt. Initial thoughts before kickoff on this game.
Well, I'll start with, I said last week that I thought it was a bad spot for Oregon, and Ohio State was playing like the best team in the country. I stand by that. I still don't fully believe in Texas, just like I didn't believe in Georgia. And Texas couldn't beat Georgia. So this worries me as an SEC guy, not really a Texas guy, but I think I've made it pretty clear I'm anti-Ohio State. Don't want to root for them. But in this case, I feel like I kind of have to. Like, they're the better team. I think the country would benefit seeing Ohio State and Notre Dame in the national championship. If Sark can pull a win out of his rear end, hats off to him. But I've not seen Quinn Ewers look particularly great. Isaiah Bond, that receiving core for Texas, how are they going to match up against Ohio State? Or is this one of those like game theory type games where it just becomes this massive shootout and all of a sudden Quinn Ewers starts playing like a top 10 NFL draft pick, slinging the ball all around? And we know Ohio State can put up points. I wouldn't be surprised as long as – here's what I think. As long as Ohio State does not do what they did to Oregon and just take the game away in the beginning, I think Texas can hang around because I think Sark is a good enough offensive coach to be able to put up points. But if Ohio State goes up 14-3, 14-7 in the first quarter and they get those 2 touchdowns on the scripted drives, I think it's over. I think Ohio State wins by double digits.
Nick?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week on your show. It's like Ohio State all of a sudden realized they have 3 NFL wide receivers just out of nowhere that they didn't want to use all season. And now they're using it. Will Howard looking like an NFL quarterback. And I've been hearing some stuff this week. They've been saying Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, I guess, had this plan all along where they said they kind of wanted to run a vanilla offense all season. They knew they were going to make a playoff. Their schedule, Matt mentions Notre Dame's schedule, like Ohio State. Okay, you lost, like, congratulations. And that's it, and you still get in. So they knew they were getting in, and now it's like all of a sudden they open up the playbook. I think that's some BS, honestly. It's like they just played bad. Like, we mentioned it, like, Ryan Day against Michigan just wanted to try to say, like, hey, look how tough we are. They didn't look very tough against Michigan. So I don't know which team shows up. Like, it's such a small sample size in the last 2 weeks where it's like Ohio State has looked like the best team in the country. But the 12 weeks prior to that, like, we saw them almost get beat by Nebraska. We saw them get beat by Michigan. We saw them not show up. Like, again, like, there's certain games they just didn't show up again. Probably should have lost to Penn State, like, to be honest. So I don't know which team shows up. It's, to me, though, I think the Ohio State defense is what makes a difference. Matt mentioned Quinn Ewers hasn't looked great lately. I do think they force him into a couple turnovers. So I'm probably leaning Ohio State here. I haven't made a play on the side, but I think if you are going to, I think it has to be Ohio State or nothing. I just can't trust Texas right now to lay under a touchdown.
And I'll go to both of you guys with this one. You know, what's been lacking with Texas is the running game. Mm-hmm. So, and what's getting disrespected, what was Texas known for this year, is their defense. And so if they all of a sudden can run the ball, which they can, we do know they can. They haven't been able to, but now all of a sudden they run the ball. They punch him in the mouth like Michigan did. And, oh, by the way, their defense actually stands up to Ohio State. And I'm not calling Will Howard here Allard, but he comes back to reality saying, "Oh shit, we're one game away from the championship," and then all of a sudden that happy bubble that he's been in the last couple of weeks, reality sets in. Matt, any chance of something like that?
I am not a Will Howard fan, so it would not surprise me at all if Quinn Ewers shows up and outperforms Howard. The problem, like Nick said, is the defense. Texas's defense has not looked great. Ohio State with Caleb Downs back there at safety, they're the second or third. Sorry, hang on. I had my notes and then it disappeared. Second against drop back in defense success rate. So passing game, they've got that on lock. They're 12th on rush. Texas can't run the ball, like you said. They haven't tried. So you're playing against such a good defense. All the numbers are stacked up against Texas right now. But I do think at 6.5, definitely 7, Texas is getting disrespected in the market. But Ohio State is just I hate saying it. They're the best team in the country. I mean, they're number one in EPA, on offense and defense.
All right. And again, it's only one game. We usually go to I'm going to go to a commercial break. And then if you guys got any leans, picks, props, whatever. Nick, this is the question I want you to think about, and we're going to go to break. I gave Freeman the edge, obviously, over James Franklin. James Follies Franklin, I call him, of course. I'm going to go to a commercial break. Who has the coaching edge in this game? Is it Sark or is it Ryan Day? We'll be right back. Nick, what's the answer to that question?
Let me put it this way. I think it's Chip Kelly is the one with the edge.
Okay.
From what he's been doing the last couple of weeks, they've ran their offense like they haven't done in the entire season. So it's like everybody who thought they had film on him has had to throw it away. He's completely revamped the offense, starting using Will Howard's legs a little bit more, and receivers are running wide open. Like, yes, you can have some NFL receivers that are going to win some jump balls, but they're running wide open, and that's mostly in credit to Chip Kelly. So Sark will get some open receivers. I'm not sure, like, Ryan Day is Ryan Day. Like, he wins the games he should win. But I honestly think Chip Kelly is the difference maker from both sides' coaching staffs.
Good answer there. I like that. And it's funny because that Michigan loss, that was the most vanilla we've seen them. And their offense was scratching our heads. Okay, what's he doing? And then you talk today. Oh, they were just playing cat and mouse, of course.
Yeah, I think Ryan Day had his foot, he must have had blackmail against Chip Kelly or something, and was like, "You will not throw the ball downfield."
Any picks or leans, Nick, on tonight's game?
Yeah, I have one official play so far, and it's actually the Texas team total under 23.5. This is a number that Ohio State has only allowed once this season, and it was to Oregon at Oregon. Now, I don't think this Texas offense is anywhere near that Oregon offense, especially the one back in October. And we look at even the games that Ohio State has lost. Even Michigan, they gave up 13, and one was basically because of a pick six. So I trust this Ohio State defense to keep it low. And I think if Texas wants to stay in it, I think they will have to run the ball, meaning clock's going to tick. I think they will have to try to keep it low scoring. I don't think they want to get in a shootout because that means Quinn Ewers probably throws 2 picks. So, yeah, give me the Texas team total under 23.5 as my official play. And then I might put a half unit on, if it gets down to, we'll see. Because right now the money is starting to head, from what I'm seeing, it's starting to head towards Texas. So we'll see if it kind of gets down to 5. Might make it a half unit play or something there just to have something on a side. But, yeah, one official play is Texas team total under 23.5.
Mr. Grissom?
I don't have anything right now. I'm riding out a ticket. I did 2 exactas, Notre Dame versus Texas, Notre Dame versus Ohio State, 14-1, 18-1 to win 10 units. So I'm sitting on that. I hedged a little bit and bet 4 units on Penn State last night, which obviously lost. But no harm, no foul, just trying to get to the window on that ticket. And like I said, I want to root for Texas, but I think Ohio State's the right side. I don't trust it at 6. This may be the perfect game, though, to end game. Because, like I said, if Texas hangs around early, if it's 7-7 or 7-10 at the end of the first quarter, Texas covers. If it's 14-0, 14-3, Ohio State, I would lay 20 on Ohio State. They're going to
say 30, yeah.
Because Ryan Day, he's not going to take his foot off the gas. He's heard the critics. It's going to be a blowout. If Texas cannot hang with them early, it's over.
That's a wrap there. Shout out to Brian Perry. Shout out to Matt. Matt says, where was Matt? Ohio State 34, Texas 20, Ohio State 27, Notre Dame 16 in the final. He said OSU threw like 33 passes that game. They tried to pass.
Sean also said, are you guys worried that the line is begging you to take Texas with points? And I mean, our website, collegefootballinsiders.com, we have Ohio State -4.
Well, and I'll compound that, Sean. I think they're begging you to take Ohio State. Anything out of a touchdown. I mean, this is the greatest show on turf here. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, this team is a wagon. You saw what they've done the last 2 weeks. We know the true numbers for. Like, I'll go back to last night's under-over. The true under-over was 50 in the hook, yet everyone was gobbling up 44, 44 and a half, 45, and at halftime was waiting at the window to cash the tickets. So the true number is what? If Ohio State won this game, what's the total now? It's 54. If Ohio State won this game 28-24, I wouldn't be shocked, guys.
No, me either. I'd be upset. Hopefully it's 28-23 because of my team total.
Matt?
I think we're getting another over. I called it last night. I think when you talk about team totals and stuff, yes, these defenses are all good. That's why they're in the college football playoff in the Final Four. But I also think the offenses haven't had an opportunity to be flashy. And I'm not saying the college football playoff committee wants high scoring, but let's look at it from a big picture. Ratings have not been the greatest with the playoff because of all these blowouts. So I expect another tight game that's higher scoring. The refs are going to let them play a little bit. Also, something to monitor, it's snowing in Dallas. So I don't know how people are going to be able to get to the game. As far as inside, it's fine, but I don't know. I don't know how people are moving around. Hopefully they got there early.
Well, next week we'll obviously recap tonight's game. We'll talk about the championship game on the 20th. The following Friday, make sure everyone's here. Matt, Nick, and potentially Q will be here to talk about the preview of their college baseball guide. And then the following week, we'll talk about futures and UConn Huskies and all that other good stuff there. As we always wrap this segment up, Nick, Matt, start with Nick. Tell them where you can go find all your work.
Yeah, in Halfcoat 413 on X, and then on our free NCAA Insiders Discord is where you can find all of my plays. We talk to all the people who follow us, give info, let them ask questions, and really just talk throughout the game. Not Notre Dame games. I don't talk to anybody during that except for pretty much my dad. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, that's the best place. And then in Halfcoat on Instagram, I will add some stuff on there as well.
Mr. Grissom.
collegefootballinsiders.com and at NCAA Insiders. I'm Grissom on X. And be on the lookout. 35 days to college baseball season. collegebaseballinsiders.com. We'll be back and rolling in full force. So we're really excited about that.
Can't thank you guys enough. Matt, enjoy the Snow Angels. Nick, gloat. Have some fun this weekend. You got a few days to get ready. Go Irish, go. Guys, have a great weekend, and we'll catch up next Friday.
Thanks, Jeff.
Adam Trigger coming on next. Stay tuned.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern?
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Well, actually, let me see if I can do this here. Shabam. You know, I knew it was coming. And Adam has talked for weeks and weeks. I'm kind of curious if he knew it was coming too this week. Of course, I'm talking about UConn and Villanova. No Liam McNeely. They were fortunate to beat Providence, I thought, with a great second half. I could smell this one a mile away. So let's bring him in. Mr. Adam Trigger. What's up, Adam?
Yeah. What's going on? Yeah, like I was not surprised that Villanova got it done. I didn't have the guts to go against UConn. I still thought, I think the number was probably fair. 1.5, with McNeely out, but I should have, obviously. In hindsight, I would have loved to have a Villanova bet now that we know they won the game. But yeah, I guess we kind of foreshadowed that here, Jeff, on this show over the weeks that was probably coming.
You know, they're a team that is in work. They definitely remind me of 2 years ago's team where, again, they struggled early in the Big East. They got some traction. They lose in the semis, and they had the extra day off, and then they win 6 in a row and cover 6 in a row.
Jeff, I go back to that team 2 years ago. I got them that year. I went to the UConn Marquette game down at XL Center, and on the way home from that game, after they just blew Marquette out of the building, was their biggest win of the season to date. You could have gotten UConn at 30-1 to win the national title. I took them at 30-1 and cashed what probably one of the best futures bets I've ever made and won. So yeah, I mean, don't count out Dan Hurley and that coaching staff. They'll find a way. They are as good of a staff as there is in college basketball right now.
I was talking to Matt about this. Matt is an Arkansas guy and football and basketball, of course. And we see, and the whole world seemed like they were on it. Florida hosting #1 undefeated Tennessee and just boat raced them. And that line got as high as 3.5. First flash I saw was 9-0. That night, Kentucky loses at Georgia. And I was talking to him about the perfect storm here. Florida now has to go to Arkansas, who has now lost 2 in a row. They lost to Ole Miss. Coach Cal, comes in. He had no one left. He's got a whole new team, whole new process and stuff. I said to him, in college hoops especially, this is the perfect storm. I don't have the number here. I know Florida's probably going to be around 3.5-point favorites. That's what my gut says. Can Arkansas knock off Florida?
Yeah, I mean, the SEC is like the new gauntlet league now, Jeff. Like every night's a big game. There's so many quality teams in the league that you blink and you're going to have good teams, really good basketball teams, lose 3-4 conference games in a row because of what you're saying, right? Like, you have to go, you're on the road one night, then you got a tough matchup at home. Like it's an unforgiving schedule. And so, yeah, I mean, Florida now back, coming off, they just played Kentucky. They have the huge win. I'm very high on Florida, so I don't know if you'll see me bet against them. I've been higher than the market on Florida all year. Actually pretty upset with myself for not taking them against Tennessee. Had every sort of intention to, and the line kind of just ballooned and got out of control. But sure, there's no, a lot of good basketball teams. You're going to see some results like that. So, just it's a tough game. You're going to see so many tough games in the SEC this year.
I have to, before we get into your 2 games that you're going to break down, I love to give credit where credit is due. I was on Sports Grid Tuesday night. I got egg on my face. Producer reaches out to me at 2 o'clock, says, hey, can you give us some games? Come on with Sharapan and Wetzel. I did. I bet a college hoops game that moved against me, and I'm talking about the UCLA Bruins. They were in coming off a loss. They've been great at home. Michigan was just beat USC. And great first half. UCLA then has a nice run to start, gets a 3-point lead. I leave the room for 5 minutes. Michigan's up 12. It's time to give Dusty May his credit, his due, what he is doing with this team. Are you buying the Wolverines?
Yeah, I've said this on a couple of different shows. You know, I said I'm buying what he's doing long term. I from a game to game basis, I really haven't bet on Michigan yet because I felt like there's still some issues, specifically the turnovers that needed to be cleaned up. But fully buying what he's doing there. I love the pick and roll offense with Danny Wolf and Golden. Like, it's very tough to defend. Going back to that UCLA game, I mean, they just you like you said, UCLA kind of clamped down early second half defensively, got back in the game, and Michigan just stepped a little bit further out and took us 3 from a little bit further out. Totally demoralized UCLA. I think everyone's heard Mick Cronin's comments in the press at this point after the post game. Just to tie it into tonight's game, I think UCLA might come out a little bit motivated tonight. I mean, that was Cronin did not hold back. I mean, he called them delusional. He called out his assistant coaches, his players, said he's the only one that really cares there. That'll be an interesting watch tonight, UCLA, Maryland. I wouldn't be surprised. Those are two, in my opinion, I have those two teams pretty much dead even. You obviously have to give Maryland the bump for home court and the bump for UCLA traveling across the country. But my gut says UCLA is going to bring a good effort. And if they do, they probably cover that 5. So I lean UCLA there.
You know, and the Maryland Terps, and it's funny, Adam, you're gonna find out this the hard way. Friday night games, Sunday night games. If I had tomorrow's newspaper, I couldn't pick a Maryland game. When I bet on the Maryland Terrapins, they turn into the Twerps. When I go against Maryland, they become the Terps. So again, that's a Jekyll and Hyde. I love your eyes. I love your spot there. I might even take a look at UCLA first half. Maybe you can get a good number on them there. As always, you like to break down 2 games here. Are we going with Mount St. Mary's and Manhattan to start?
So I decided, I don't know if you saw my email. I decided I have a better take on the Quinnipiac-Siena game. So I swapped it. I thought, you know, just to comment quick, I thought I was going to like Manhattan a little bit more than I do in that spot and what the number is. So just to throw more picks out for the people, lean Manhattan, probably not going to be a play for me. I don't know if I'll have a play in this one, but Jeff, I've been doing a show daily on my Twitter, and I've never really considered myself a totals handicapper, but I'm on kind of a roll with totals. So that's kind of why I switched it. I said, well, let me come on and give the total that I'm looking at today. And it'll take us to the Siena Quinnipiac game out toward your neck of the woods in Hamden, Connecticut tonight. MAC basketball, always filling the void on Friday nights. That's why I do the Friday show with you. But listen, I think it's been really interesting watching Jerry McNamara in his first year as head coach of Siena kind of, you know, try to figure out how to be a head coach. And so here's my sort of, I don't know, we could call it a mid-season report card of sorts. The team plays incredibly hard for him. Like, they love him. He's respected. He's got the fan base engaged, and they're playing hard. I think Siena's playing above their roster talent at this point, but he definitely hasn't been sure. Like, at times they've played really slow. At times they've run up and down with Cornell. And it's like, they don't really truly have an identity yet, where it's like, you know, after the perfect example, they beat Cornell as a 13-point favorite. In that game, because Cornell, if you know anything about Cornell, you know it's up and down, take a 3, like super fast type of game. All of a sudden, after that game, Siena's flying up and down the court. Next couple games, Manhattan settled in the hundreds. Iona was a total train wreck, just up and down the court, like crazy tempo. But a key piece for Siena is now missing, and that's going to be Marcus Jackson. So a guy you know well, Andre Jackson Jr., former UConn Husky, his brother Marcus on Siena, now out 3 to 6 weeks with an ankle injury. And I really think that's going to hurt Siena in the pace department. I feel like he's one of their bigger energy guys. He's one of the better athletes on the team. He'll push that tempo a little bit more. And so the fact that he's out tells me that the pace might suffer a little bit, but also I wouldn't be surprised if this is a spot where, you know, coming off the 1-point loss to Iona, McNamara goes back to his team and says, all right, let's reel in the pace a little bit, because there was a point in time, Jeff, where they were outside the top 300 nationally on KenPom in adjusted tempo. And it's gotten fast the last couple games, but I think now that you take Jackson out of the mix, and this matchup favors a slower pace for Siena, I think you see them try to slow it down. The reason you want to slow down Quinnipiac, their half-court offense is abysmal. Absolutely terrible. 352nd nationally in field goal percentage, 360th outside the three-point line. They have no shooters. They're not going to get good looks in the half court. The way that Quinnipiac will score is to be a little bit helter-skelter, crash the offensive glass, and let Otieno and Monroe. Basically, Quinnipiac's best offense at this point is a missed shot, because they've got two bigs that can clean it up down low and put the ball back in. So I think you're going to see, I really think you're going to see Siena cognizant of slowing this game down. Quinnipiac wants to play fast, and I think McNamara is going to look and say, okay, especially without Jackson, we got to get into a half-court offense, put the ball into the hands of Freeman and Schultz, run some shot clock, and try to not only beat Quinnipiac that way, but limit the number of transition opportunities that they're getting for easy buckets, because they do not generate easy buckets in the half court. So I thought this total was high. I like the under in Siena and Quinnipiac tonight.
KenPom has Quinnipiac 71-67. So if my math's correct, that's a 138.
Yeah, and like I said, I do think 6.5 was the number. Maybe a little bit of value for Siena, but I don't know. I don't know that I make Marcus Jackson worth 2 points, but he's definitely an important piece that Siena will now be without for the next month or so.
You've been doing the north, the upper north swoon, I'd like to say, starting November, the first week of November. We're at January 10th. As you said, you already given out some, midterm remarks. Take yourself back to doing all the work in September, October, getting yourself up to November. Any buy low, sell highs up in that north area right now, Adam?
Yeah, listen, I think this is a perfect segue into Northeast Conference basketball, because the part of, before I even got into the handicap of the Lemoyne game, Northeast Conference is the perfect sort of way to illustrate this point. All of these teams, for the most part, your Wagners, Lemoyne's, Fairleigh Dickinson, St. Francis, they've got to pay the bills, right? They've got to go out and play bye game after bye game to now pay the bill. A lot of these teams, Stonehill, Lemoyne, a lot of them just came up from Division II. Some have been around for a while, right? Wagner's been D1 forever. Fairleigh Dickinson's been D1 for a while. Central Connecticut State's been D1 for a while. But they play a lot of bye games against teams where it's totally unrealistic to think that they would beat the teams. They're a lot of the teams that they're playing. For Lemoyne, for example, unrealistic to think they're going to beat St. Bonaventure or Syracuse or UConn or Notre Dame, teams like that. Fairleigh Dickinson playing Minnesota. There's a lot of teams on their schedule where the numbers that are generated from those games are going to be tough to trust. So this is the league where I almost I completely go back to the work I did on these teams in November and then say, all right, are they healthy? You know what I mean? That's all I'm really trying to take away from November, December. Obviously you want to look at if there was a results that were out of what you expected to be, if a team, Central Connecticut State, for example, had some really nice upset wins. They knocked off, I believe it was St. Joe's, teams there's a couple of really nice results in there. But for the most part, this is the type of league where, I'm going back to November. I'm looking at where I had these teams coming into the season, and assuming full health, I'm going to make bets on that. So that's really what brings me to liking Lemoyne tonight, because I was just higher on them coming into the season. They're now fully healthy, and they're at home. And remember, these teams don't play a lot of home games for the most part. They're usually on the road. So I think that's this would be the example of trusting probably the most, where I'll trust my work from the beginning of the season and now sort of wipe the slate clean. We're starting Northeastern Conference play, and I'm more willing to go off of my preseason projections than maybe any other league.
It's a comical quick story before we wrap it up here. I went to Bridgewater State Division III in Bridgewater, about 10 minutes from Brockton, Mass, about 25 minutes from Boston. I eventually assistant coached the women's basketball team for 3 years at Bridgewater State. But when I was at Bridgewater, my work study program was with the men's basketball team, and we had a Christmas tournament at Stonehill. We were D3, they were D2 back then. The opening tip, Adam, we lose the tip, they get the tip, alley-oop dunk, and they were out to beat us by 30. Now Division I, so when you said Stonehill, my eyes peeked up.
Yeah, no, they had a great D2 program for a while, and you know, they've sort of been. It's been interesting to see like a lot of these teams. So Stonehill, Mercyhurst, Lemoyne, all have come up relatively recently to Division I. Merrimack would be another one that they've now left the NEC. So they came into the NEC like 4 or 5 years ago. They're now on their next D1 stop in the MAC. But like it's been interesting to see how quickly competitive these teams have been. And it kind of like tells me that the bottom half of D1 and the top half of D2 are probably pretty close. I don't think there's a huge difference in the quality of play there.
Are you traveling to any games this weekend?
I am not going anywhere this weekend, but I will be in Arizona visiting a friend for a couple days. I'm going to hit a couple of games out there next week, so getting out of the cold just for a few days. But I'm going to manage to get to 3 games in like the 2.5 days that I'm out there, or 3 days that I'm out there. So looking forward to that. I just went to Rhode Island on Wednesday night, so that was cool. The Ryan Center, pretty interesting 8,000 seat arena there. I went and got a chance to see URI play George Washington. You want to talk about 2 teams that had zero expectations coming into the season and now have sort of played their way into like relevance from a strong non-conference schedule. Really nice win for GW. That's back-to-back sort of huge wins for them, knocking off Dayton, and then they go on the road and beat Rhode Island. So that was a good game and fun stop there. And yeah, I'll have finally getting out of the Northeast for a couple next week.
Well, everyone knows to go on X at Adam Trigger WT. But as we always wrap up this segment, Adam, tell them what you have for them at Wager Talk.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I was clear. Like, I did play Lemoyne. That is one of my client plays tonight. I got in early on this one. Played it money line -120. It's taken some money, but I still think you could, play the money line and just, bet accordingly there. And I'm not going to go crazy breaking it down because I already kind of talked about it. Lemoyne was a team that I was high on coming into the season. They dealt with injuries. This team's now, because of the injuries, Jeff, they've got like 9 guys that are all very capable. Like, it's rare to be in the Northeast Conference and have a true like 9 to 10 guy man rotation where there's not much drop off. And Lemoyne has that. And I think that's really going to help them come conference play. They also played a brutal schedule of travel leading into last game. So they're coming off of a couple of duds, that they're back home for the first time since December 14th. I think they get it done at home tonight against a Fairleigh Dickinson team that's got, Terrence Brown's a stud. They've got a couple of ballers, but you get to that bench, got guys 6, 7, 8 on that Fairleigh Dickinson roster, not very good. So that's where I think Lemoyne has the edge. And I just decided to play my numbers there, and I laid it with Lemoyne -120. You can always find my stuff at Wager Talk. So head on over to wagertalk.com. All of my picks are there, and give me a follow on X. I post a lot of stuff there for free as well at Adam Trigger WT.
Always a pleasure, Adam. Enjoy your couple days in the warmth. Send the heat back east. It was 21 degrees this morning on brutal Cape Cod. How's that grab you?
Yeah, it's pretty cold here. It's been cold and windy and snowy, so looking forward to getting out of that for a minute.
All right, behave yourself. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll catch up with you next Friday.
All right, same to you.
Take care. Adam Trigger, go follow him at Adam Trigger WT. Make sure you go check him out on Wager Talk at wt.buzz/AT. Quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history and stats. You could also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the...
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern?
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
I thought I fixed this. Of course I didn't. Let's try this. How about this? And then I go over to here and I do this. Bear with me, guys. 1 second here. There we go. How about that? There we go. Great morning to start on Andrew McGinnis's YouTube channel at Wager Talk. Around 10:30 we got started there, talking some NHL for tonight. And then, of course, at 11, we came back with the NCAA Insiders. Matt Grissom and Nick Hatcoat. Q was on assignment talking last night's Nick and his Irish and Brian Perry and your Irish. Congrats in the championship game to play either Ohio State or Texas. That game currently 6 -5 cents. Ohio State favored with a 53 at the Circa. Good morning to Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens there. I'm going to try to get the closing bell in probably within the hour. If I don't, myself and Riley will be back at 3 o'clock and we'll take care of business there. Busy slate, of course, there. Good morning to Mr. Billy Hewlin. Love you, Billy. Keep up the great work. Give your bride, Rebecca, a big hug. Busy show here. Brian Perry, Matt, Mr. Smooth himself, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance, Mr. Sailor, if you're anywhere. A great show, guys. The weekend is here. Okay, you got the conference championship, Ohio State, Texas tonight. And then we get the NFL wildcard playoffs on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And Minnesota and the Rams have now been moved from LA to Arizona. So keep an eye on that one. And again, as always, our prayers to the state of California and Los Angeles with the wildfires. Shout out to Live Zone Sports. Thank you so much for the production here. Obviously, got to give a shout out to my guy, Elijah Cox, as well. Everyone, have a great morning. It's afternoon back east. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you soon.